I'm back in Greenwood County, Kansas for part 2 of our little adventure around the county exploring the ghost towns of Greenwood County. As I said in the first episode, Greenwood County had about 20,000 people and now only has about 6,000 people. So the county as a whole is almost turning into a ghost county. Last time we were in the northern kind of part of the county, and today we're going to be more in the southern part of the county. We're starting here just north of Eureka, Kansas, which is the largest town in Greenwood County, population a little bit over 2,000. So it's not a ghost town. We won't be going there or other towns that aren't ghost towns today. But we're just north of Eureka. This bridge behind me was built in 1905 and now sits abandoned along the side of the road. So we're going to go check out some towns today, and maybe we'll see a couple bridges along the way. So our first stop is Tonavay, Kansas, and really there's not much here except for this old grade school behind me, which is a actual antique store or museum, I guess now, that's open. So we're going to go check that out. But Tonavay, there's not much information online, but this was along a railroad, so a railroad stop, so it was a small town. Other than that, there's really just a couple houses and this old school building. So this was pretty much the thing to see here. This is the approximate location of the ghost town of Utopia, and there's nothing left. Definitely nothing where on the map it says where Utopia used to be, except for down the road I passed what was called Utopia Community Church on a Google map, and so we're going to go back there and check that out. But here, where the town was, there was a post office for a few decades, and I believe a railroad came through here, but I don't know much else about the ghost town of Utopia. Just pulled up to Ivanpah, Kansas, and I'm behind the building that I just showed you as I was walking up, and I think that it's open. I think it's unlocked, so we'll go check this building out. Don't know much about this ghost town at all. The only thing that I've found is it had a post office in the late 1800s, and it was discontinued just after the turn of the century. So I'm assuming there was oil fields kind of pumping oil like crazy around this area, but I don't know if it was one of those company towns or if this was just an old 19th century town basically that went away before the oil boom. So this is an interesting building that just is sitting here wide open way out here in the middle of nowhere, and but let's go inside and check it out. Reece, Kansas was never real big, maybe 100 people or so around the early 1900s. And today, there's not too much. I was driving around as many streets as I could, and all I could find was the church. And then I kind of, on the way out of town, took as much of a back road as you can imagine, and found, I think what this is the old school. It is the old school, because I saw some old playground equipment next to it. So, but this town used to have, besides the school, it would have businesses and many buildings. And now this school and there's a church on the main street are the only things that aren't, farms or houses within the town. A couple of old buildings or abandoned buildings, but nothing too much. But very beautiful and very quiet part of Kansas. This is Star, Kansas, and this is one of those lucky finds when you're out doing these things. I couldn't find hardly anything about the town except for that it had a post office for a little over a decade in the late 1800s, and that there on the map I saw that there was a little cemetery on the Google Maps. It shows up a little green square, and usually that's a cemetery in these places. And so there's a cemetery here, and then across the street from the cemetery is this old school, and on the side it said 1883. And so obviously school has been run down, and there's literally nothing else left of the town, anything except for the cemetery. There's some graves, and the headstones have people as early as like the 1820s till on into the 1900s, and it's a very small little cemetery, so kind of tells the story a little bit of some of the people that were here. But really, it's awesome when you are driving down a dirt road and then you see a building like this and you think that there may be nothing there, and then it turns out to be a building this is a 140-year-old school that has probably been abandoned for over 100 years, and it's still hanging on. climbed up here to the kind of the booth for the rodeo. And Piedmont is a fantastic place to go if you're kind of searching out some ghost towns. A lot of buildings, you know, kind of a big area. The main street's pretty long, so it looks like there probably were more things in the past, which it started in the 1880s along the railroad and grew to 200 to 300 people, and then like all these other towns, just over time decreased in population. But there's still a school here. You can see all the playground equipment that they had, so you can almost envision how busy this place used to be, or at least, you know, much busier than it is now, where there's just hardly anything going on. Places like this, instead of a football field out behind the school, there's a rodeo. All that I could find of Greenwood is this cemetery, which was down quite a back road to get here, and we're near Fall River, which is not quite a ghost town yet. It's getting close, unfortunately. Hopefully, it stays off that list. But we're near Fall River, and we're near Fall River State Park or Lake, and so it's a very beautiful area. And this was a town in the 1870s. I'm assuming it wasn't too large, although there's quite a few, you know, headstones here to mark some of the people that lived in this area. There's some, you know, that are fairly newer. So there's obviously people that have lived in this area and would call this, I guess, Charleston home. But yeah, there's nothing left of the town of Charleston. This is the area that was Hickman, and nothing seems to be here from when it was a town in the late 1800s, but there's certainly a lot of people here. There's a cemetery, a township cemetery not far from here, where I'm assuming the community of Hickman and maybe this community here also kind of used. So yeah, not quite sure much about this town or what it used to be, but there doesn't appear to be anything left of the original Hickman. I've been driving around trying to find Twin Falls, which I don't think is in existence of any level. But I was having trouble getting lost, kind of, because the names on the map and the names on the signs, actually, when you get to them for the roads, aren't the same. And so I'm not quite sure where exactly I'm at, but I did come across this structure, which was interesting. But Twin Falls was a town in the late 1800s. Maybe somebody from this area can tell me more about that, and tell me what this is. So on my map that I had, it said that the road went through here. Obviously, it used to go through here. There's remnants of a bridge behind me. And on the Google Maps, it said it didn't go through. So sometimes one's right, sometimes the other's right. So still searching for Twin Falls, or where it used to be. It's a little bit that way, but it's hard to get there from here. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to Twin Falls. This is another dead-end road. There's two creeks that kind of merge. And I think I think there used to be a road right there, but it doesn't look too sturdy anymore, so maybe they closed that up. So not gonna be able to make it to Twin Falls, unfortunately, today. I don't even know if it exists or if there's anything there anymore anyways. But we do have one place we have left to go, and if you are familiar with Greenwood County, it would make sense for a logical place for the finish of this video tour of Greenwood County. So let's head there now. And we are now here at the appropriately named Climax, Kansas, for the finish of our trip. Very small town. It is actually still incorporated. Just a few dozen people live here. It was originally started because of a school that was here. Then actually the town grew up around the school, and then the railroad came through, and it grew to a few hundred people, and then declined over time. The building behind me is a lodge where it looks like they possibly still have meetings. There's definitely people live here. It's Sunday. Church was in session when I drove by, so definitely a little bit of life here in Climax. overall about this trip in Greenwood County, really enjoyed it. You know, some of the smallest counties have some of the coolest places and the hidden gems that I think a lot of people wouldn't go to normally, but hopefully this gave you an idea, and whether you want to explore Greenwood County at some point, or if you want to go explore another small county that doesn't have too many people. Kind of an old abandoned bridge here just north of the town, and probably a nice little cool spot to check out. It was born in the bridge was born. All that I could find of Greenwood is this cemetery, and here comes a bunch of wind. Is it bad? It's probably too bad to. Let me just wait. I always get asked about doing food reviews, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. But I've been eating super healthy lately, and so, you know, thought on the way home from this ghost town day, you work up a big appetite, so let's get a good healthy meal here.